Ukraine's situation is much worse than it looks, as it could have major consequences. It's day 1303 of Russia's operation in Ukraine. Let's dive deeper. Let's start from the Kupiansk front. Here the situation is worsening day by day, as Ukraine is slowly losing grip on the city. Russia's penetration from the north has worked successfully, as they have now completed the capture of the northern part of the city. However, if we talk about frontline changes, nothing major has changed. But the changes are happening below the surface, and I also mean that literally. If you remember in Avdiivka and Suriyak, how Russian forces used pipelines to penetrate deep into Ukraine's defense and cause a major collapse. Similarly, Russian forces are doing exactly this in Kupiansk. According to Ukrainian sources, Russian forces from around Redkivka are moving through a pipeline for several kilometers undetected and causing chaos at the rear. Even though this has not caused a major failure, but it is weakening their positions and could lead to major failure in future. In addition, near the river, gray zone is expanding every day. Here Russian DRG have infiltrated in this massive area, as they likely want to physically cut this exit route of Ukraine's eastern grouping. However, as intense fights are taking place everywhere, it is difficult to confirm the advances. Near the center of the city, Russian forces are trying to encircle these high-rise buildings, just as I suggested in my previous report. And you know the importance of the Kupiansk city holds for Ukraine, and losing this might have a very bad effect. So in order to possibly slow and stop this fall, the Ukrainian command has decided to deploy their Azov brigade to the city. Ukrainian sources are saying they will launch the counterattack and try to unblock the rear and then move on to the city. However, as the Russian garrison is strong, it will not be easy. But as you can see, even though the situation on the surface seems stable, underneath it is worsening with each day. Now moving to Velika Novosilka front. Here the situation is much more serious than it looks. As you know, Russian forces were able to make a breakthrough from the south. However, as lots of these villages are not well known as other fronts, this advance doesn't mean much to many of you. However, many Ukrainian analysts are panicking a little bit. They say Ukraine in the last year or so has built two major lines of defense along the southern front, where these important towns and cities are connected through major supply hubs up north. But because of the Russian push from the east, it has potential to bypass these major lines of defense and drastically reduce its effectiveness. If this happens, Ukraine will have an extremely hard time slowing the Russian push. However, for now it will continue to be slow collapse. And many Russian sources believe Ukraine has chosen major cities like Kupiansk, Pokrovsk and Kostiantynivka to defend, as they are transferring reinforcements there. Subscribe for more frontline updates. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.